Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That is Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. Hey, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Well, I'm starting to come over to your side on the robot vacuum.
Yay.
Oh, shit.
Is it just doing a terrible job, or
No.
No,
it's doing a fine job.
Did it get a knife?
Worse. So what I usually do is I let the guy go and vacuum the whole place. But there are a couple of rooms I don't want him in. The bedroom, I can close that door.
Sure.
But the office has a little hanger thing that hangs over the door and doesn't allow me to close it all the way. So I stick a door brace on the bottom that it can't pass through, right?
Mm.
So then I come home from work.
Oh my God.
And the door brace has been moved into the room that it's not supposed to go into.
Oh no.
I'm like, well, what? And my brain couldn't quite comprehend what I was saying. And then I go into it. It's the office. And it was as if a little puppy had gotten into and it ate up everything that was on the floor, including a couple of chapbooks. They were my chapbooks, so no great loss.
Oh,
But
geez.
a few papers that I had that were, I just had stacked and everything. It found those, tore those all up. And I found myself just looking at this mess and then kind of stomping out and into the kitchen where it was sitting in its dock, blinking away, wagging its tail, fine. I was just like, what did you do? I wanted to bring it back into the room and
Show it.
rub its face into the broken papers and yell no at it. But I clearly need to do something else about this robot.
I'm just going to say the fact that it went for your chapbook.
Well,
It's so personal. It's so personal. I think this is a message, and you need to see through that line.
they were stacked on the floor. Other people's chapbooks are usually put into the bookshelf and all
Sure.
this. These were stacked on the floor. They're all being autographed and getting ready to be sent out.
Mhm.
But so I don't think it was that personal.
Don't justify this.
I had a dog back when I was much younger. I had a dog, and I had the old kind of bookshelves you have when you're struggling and everything, just a couple of cinder blocks and some wood. And so I had all my Stephen King on those. And I came home one day, and my adorable, wonderful puppy, Roscoe, had chewed through all of my first edition Kings that were there. And I was a little angry about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he had bad separation anxiety. He also ate my couch
Sure.
when I started leaving him out in the yard during the day because he couldn't be trusted. He ate my house. He ate the side of my house off. So he was just one of those poor guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
So maybe that's all that's going on with my robot.
He's
I
just-
miss you, Kelly.
Well, I hope that is the case. I hope he just misses you and that he's not actually actively trying to start to let you know how much he dislikes you.
Bluetoothing into the AI systems.
Well,
He's learning.
it did make me think. It's a good thing I didn't have a knife on the floor in there, because who knows what I might have come home to.
Right.
Him waiting behind the door for me.
I mean, look, I'm just saying you leave your razor on the floor. Next thing you know, you got a cut ankle.
That's true. That's true. That remind me, making a note right now. Do not leave razor
on the floor. You know, the bathroom, you get busy.
You guys, our topic today is your nuclear disaster, and I'm going to talk about a movie that I wish I could have watched for this, and I'm not going to tell you why I couldn't, but it'll become clear. But it's on YouTube. It's called Chosen Survivors, and it's a really cool little movie. It's got Jackie Cooper in it. It's from 1974. And it starts with this helicopter dropping off these people who are looking very almost drugged, and they're being rushed through a group of soldiers and put into this elevator and then sent down into this silo type thing. and they're then told they've been, they've been chosen by computer to be the survivors of Armageddon. And
Shit.
they are then shown a bunch of screens where the cities are all burning and all of this stuff. And they're basically, there's like 8 or 10 of them. And it's, okay, you guys now have enough food here for 5 years or whatever to, and get to work repopulating all this stuff. And so that's what the story is they're down there now while the world above is bad. But what they didn't count on
Uh-oh.
were the vampire bats that lived in these tunnels that had been dug out for these silos. So they are
Oh my
now
God.
nightly attacked by all these vampire bats they're picking them off one by
Oh,
one.
man.
It
Oh,
is
jeez.
it is a ridiculous premise. I loved it so much. There is a twist, and it cannot be used for this. That probably makes it obvious what the twist is.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I was so happy to find this on YouTube. Chosen Survivors.
Oh my God, excellent. Truly excellent. Well, I checked out something a lot of people have been talking about, and I was curious enough. I watched on Netflix Beef,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
the show Beef.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really strong. Such incredible writing and acting. It's an A24 joint, but it's not like fucking Lamb or whatever. It feels like it's actually just an opportunity for some good filmmakers to try some really risky things. And it's upsetting. It's stressful.
Super stressful.
Did you watch to the end?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
It did not end the way I thought it would end,
Yeah.
but it didn't end. It didn't disappoint me the way it ended.
Same. I was okay with where it went, but weirdly read an interview with the director who has 2 more seasons planned out, and I was like, where would you go? Why would you keep this story going?
Well, they
Like,
pulled that off with You, that show You, which had a very definite 1-season story route, but did really well. We got to do another one.
yeah, maybe an alternative pair of people.
Yeah, I
or
was going to
don't know.
say, I felt like their journey is over.
Yeah,
I mean, I hope.
Jesus.
that
I mean, you can keep torturing them, but
that
I don't
was a
know.
lot of stress. I mean, it was
stressful.
ramping up my anxiety when everybody else was being brought into it and family members were getting hurt and all of this
Oh,
stuff. I was
man.
like, this is really starting to bother me.
There was one moment where I thought it was like the end. I didn't realize there were like 5 more episodes where like everything kind of goes okay for them, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you guys did good. You found your place in the world, and then it was like, nope, nope, nope. Oh my God, it's 100 times worse. Oh my God. But truly excellent. I mean, it's got is it Stephen Yang from Nope in it? So
Walking Dead.
incredible. And also Ali, I can't remember her name. I'm really bad with
Is
names.
that Ali Wong?
I think Ali Wong
Okay.
is the lead actress in it. And she's typically a stand-up comedian, but she does
Right.
an incredible job.
She's really good.
Cool. Yeah, it's on my list. Haven't watched it yet. And remember a couple of weeks ago, you give me crap about a movie that is coming out
Yes.
that I dare to speak of before it was out. It's out now.
Is that Silo
Silo.
film? Tell me how that
First
is.
2 episodes came out. And remember my reaction to Halo?
Mm.
Where it's like, did you guys, after the first episode, it's like, did you guys even ever play the video game? Do you know anything about this at all and just gave up on it? This is the opposite.
Hmm.
It nails. The book was called Wool. I'm sure they probably changed it to Silo now. But it nails Hugh Howley's book. There's a scene, the general layout of the silo is different than it was in my head, but Jesus, the main scene, main location where they have like their meetings and their dinners and the cafeteria is frighteningly similar to the way it was in my head. I'm like,
Mm.
whoa, I don't remember being interviewed for this, but you guys nailed what I thought it should look like. And the acting is absolutely top notch. The story is well written. And they nailed the tone and the weirdness of the story where it's like, now what's going on? I read the whole series and I'm to them going, okay, no, I'm pretty sure I know what happened, but I seem to remember this. Oh man, I don't know. So it's just amazing. It's on Apple Plus.
And it was a book series then
Mhm.
also? Okay.
Yeah, quite a while ago.
I saw that was out, and I have put that on my watch list. So
Hmm.
Enjoyed it.
What is it on again?
Apple.
Apple. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, they have some weirdly good stuff.
Yeah.
it is weird that they have some weirdly good stuff, and very few people are talking about them.
Yeah.
I think
guess it-
because like who wants to subscribe for like the 4 shows that they have on there that are good?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's name recognition. If you go, oh, it's from Disney. Oh, well, I know their track record. It's Apple. But is
Right.
it a movie about a computer? what am I watching here?
Right, but didn't they do Tetris?
They did.
Yeah,
And
there's
that was
too.
amazing. They did that Finch movie that I thought was amazing.
Ted Lasso is probably their biggest.
Ted
Mhm.
Lasso, I
Breakout.
still
They've
haven't
got
watched. Did they do
Servant,
Severance?
And they did Severance, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hope.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And Shrinked, which was okay too.
I watched the first couple of episodes of a series called Citadel on Prime.
Oh yeah, the ads for that sure pop up a lot. Looks good.
Well, the ads pop up for it a lot because Amazon spent like $400 million on this series. And I'm kind of wondering why.
Oh no.
They seem. We were just talking about Apple, who seems to know how to spend their money really well. If you think of the problems we had with the Ring trilogy and some of the problems we've had with some of their stuff, they
Yeah.
don't seem to know how to spend the money
That is true
well in their
on
productions.
every level of Amazon. Like every level of Amazon, they do not know. They just have money and they throw it
Yeah,
at
here you
things, and they're
go.
like, "This'll do well."
Is it what makes you say that?
So, well, okay. So, a little background. My favorite Marvel movie is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I
Mhm.
love that movie, and I love the feel of that movie. That's by the Russo brothers. This series is by the Russo brothers, and it is a action spy thriller adventure along those lines. So there's all these great fights and set pieces where trains are being derailed and all of this shit. It feels like it should be, right in the Captain America universe. But the actors, they've chosen a couple of people who I kind of recognize, but they also look enough like other people that I wish it were those other people. Like the lead guy looks enough like, why can't I remember his name? The guy who plays the Winter Soldier.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know his name,
I don't
but
know
I know
his
who
name.
you mean.
But he looks enough like him,
Mhm.
but is not as good an actor. And so I'm like, I really want this guy. You guys have a relationship with this guy. Why can't you just hire this guy? And so I don't know. It feels just a little B grade
Mm.
instead of, Winter Soldier
Yeah,
type
should
stuff.
be. That's too bad.
Yeah, but I'll keep with it. It's got a lot of ideas that I like in it. It's got Stanley Tucci. I don't know why I still like him because he clearly is just taking roles to pay the rent, but there's something about him I like. The storyline is very Jason Bourne. This guy is a super spy, and he forgot. He had amnesia, and now it's all starting to come back to him, and he's being drawn back into this after having created a family and all this. I'm like, boy, these are all elements of stuff I've already liked, so I should like it, but I'm not loving it.
Makes you go, well, maybe I'll watch the Bourne Identity movies again.
Or
something.
just read the books.
Read the
I
books.
loved those books.
Yeah.
Well, I have been extremely busy with work. It is like insane
Your
busy.
excuses mean nothing to us.
So the only way I had to de-stress, but I did not have time to like see
Come
more
on,
movies
come
or
on. What's it gonna be?
I read a web comic in between
Okay.
rendering.
Okay.
It's a romance web comic on
Sure, sure.
Webtoons, but it's very popular. It's called Lore Olympus. So you guys might not be that into it. It's definitely like a romance web series. I mean, that's just what it is.
I thought it was gonna be like I don't know, some Netflix show, Love on a Beach or Love in a House or
No, actually much higher quality than that. The art style is almost got this like Pixar like paint stroke. It looks beautiful. The people are these, bright blue or pink kind of animation, not animations, like drawings. But the story, of course, follows Greek gods, but the Greek
Oh.
gods are living in almost like a modern era. They're texting each other. They're having these conflicts. And I've always felt very separated from Greek stories because you're like, why the hell is Zeus like turning into a swan and then like impregnating this lady and like why is he becoming a cow and having sex with Europa? And anyway, it's always felt very weird, but in this style, it's so approachable because when they do stupid shit, you're like, of course you do stupid shit because you're a Greek god. But people are stuck in that era, even though they're in future tech world. Anyway, it was really good, and it dealt with some really, really complex, difficult ideas in a way that I hadn't seen handled that well before. And I would definitely recommend it for anybody who's into romance and comics.
And it is called Lore Olympus.
Lore Olympus. It is they've started printing it in hardback editions, and I believe it was a New York Times bestseller as well.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
if you look up lore, you'll get something very cool, but very, very different. Very different. And the other one I've seen, maybe one or two of you have seen as well, Renfield.
I have not seen it yet.
I rented this.
Yeah, it popped up for rental the other day. I'm going, oh!
Yeah, like 2 weeks after it came out in
Yeah, it's
theaters.
a little disappointing in that aspect, but I thought it was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
The lead guy has a great screen presence and a wonderful comedic delivery, I guess you could say. Nick Cage looks like he was having a lot of fun.
For sure.
What did you think?
I liked much of it. I thought it really lagged in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a lot gorier than I expected.
Good Lord, it was, yes.
And it didn't take itself seriously, which I appreciated. But there were some great scenes, like where they drop Cage into the Bela Lugosi scenes on the stairway and everything.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, there's put some real thought into this. And I thought it was clever. And yeah, Nicholas Hoult, is that his name?
Yeah, I think
so,
so.
yeah.
Was he in Warm Bodies as
Yes.
well?
Yeah, he was the lead guy in Warm Bodies.
Yeah, I
And
really like
he was
him.
the asshole boyfriend in The Menu.
Yeah.
He's all over the place in his acting, and I like that about him because also he's like the Beast in
Yeah,
X-Men
in
movies.
X-Men. Mhm.
So I think he's going to do really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to love this, and I liked it. But I thought that the middle was not right there for me.
The biggest problem I would say it had storyline was the comic book villains.
Yeah.
There was just a little too much of they went for their let's not take it seriously a little hard on those characters.
Sure.
I thought that was a weird choice, but yeah, it was. If you saw the trailer and you like the trailer, you're probably going to like the film because it just has that flavor down really well.
Yeah, it took a turn for Innocent Blood that I was not expecting, and I didn't think needed to be there.
Yeah.
I'll say that Awkwafina is growing on me as an actor because I don't like her, and I liked her in this. So I was like, okay, all right, growing on me, but I hated her in Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a huge fan either, so yeah.
The fight scenes were a lot of fun.
Fight scenes were very fun.
And the end credits, I tell you, was a fantastic example of the difference music makes.
Yeah.
Because those were downright creepy.
Yeah,
Once it got into the film reels and just stills of Cage at times, like, nice.
There were some really neat things going on in the movie, when Cage is burned and everything, and he's, healing himself. It's not something that happens over the course of days. And, so he looks pretty horrific in a lot of it. And I was like, this is a good idea. I'm liking this. And like I said, I liked a lot of it. I liked the what would you call it? What was the counseling meeting that they were all attending?
Oh, the dealing with a narcissistic boss kind of situation,
or partner or lover or whatever, So all of that stuff I thought was very clever. But there was something in it that after I watched it, I was like, okay, I see where the bad reviews are coming from, and I see why it jumped so quickly to rental. But I was happy to pay for it. I thought I got my money out of it.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Are we at break time?
Yep.
Let's take a break. And then when we come back, we are talking good, clean nuclear Armageddon.
Mount Comfort RV carries a wide variety of Road Warrior toy haulers. Road Warriors are great for carrying your ATVs, motorcycles, and dune buggies. Road Warrior toy haulers come with a variety of amenities, including party porches, plush furniture, and huge TVs.
Is where it shall be decided what it has.
So make your neighbor jealous and visit Mount Comfort RV for a complete Road Warrior toy hauler walkthrough.
And we're back. Vanessa, this was your subgenre pick. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Absolutely. So the idea is nuclear films, and that includes anything that was either, a nuclear disaster that happens in the film or you're dealing with it afterwards, somehow adjacent to nuclear.
You love this kind of shit.
I do.
I don't know why this is one of your things.
Fucking love it.
Because you don't like Mad Max post-apocalypse. You like the after effects of immediate
Like the
Armageddon.
day after or something like
Yeah,
that.
I like seeing things explode and like cities in ruin. I have to say, I do very much like Mad Max.
Okay.
So, but that's not my favorite part. My favorite part is definitely things getting fucked up. So good. Fires, floods, earthquakes,
Radiation sickness.
radiation sickness.
Watch the
man.
world burn.
I don't know why. It just is so good. I have an apocalypse section on my DVD shelf.
Oh, I
so.
remember, for our TV movie, you picked that one where the train derails and the
Yes,
nuke
Atomic
happens.
Train.
And I was like,
Yes.
when you brought this up again, I was like, okay, she's got a thing.
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I
Oh,
do.
good.
I have since at least it's probably since The Day After Tomorrow. I think that one first lit me up inside. But
Okay, well, I'm putting 10 minutes on the buzzer.
all right. So I went with The Day the Earth Caught Fire.
The time is now 10:51. 9 minutes before countdown. 9 minutes.
9 minutes before countdown. 9 minutes while the world waits and wonders. Share, if you dare, the unbearable suspense of men and women who have never in their lives faced greater peril. The day the Earth caught fire will burn itself into your memory. Is it fiction or is it fact?
What's the nutation of the Earth?
Nutation? Well, it's a slight oscillation on the Earth's axis, caused by the pull of the sun and the moon
It's
on
changed.
the equator. You see, there's a slight bulge on the...
There's also an item here about axis rotation. There's been an 11-degree variation, whatever that may mean.
They've shifted the tilt of the Earth. The stupid, crazy, irresponsible bunglers. They've finally done it.
From the presses of Fleet Street, today's headlines blaze into tomorrow's history. And here are the people who report the most sensational story a newspaper has ever had to print. A story that might be the last it ever prints. These are the people caught in the most explosive threat ever to face the world. Jeannie, the girl on the government switchboard, and Stenning, one-time ace reporter, striving to make a comeback in life and love.
You happen to walk in at the end of a Black Monday.
What about a foggy Sunday?
Oh, come on now, Pete. We're too old for
I'm not
snuffling.
too old.
Look, I said you could use the phone,
Oh,
and
come
that's
on now,
all.
Jeannie. What do you want? A slow build-up? Hot hands at the movies, knee trebles, and a coffee bar?
This is Maguire, the science editor who unearthed the deadly facts.
What the hell kind of fog only comes up to the fourth floor?
God knows better than to come up here. This place is like the anteroom to hell.
It's really chaos at London Airport, Mr. McGuire.
It usually is.
Question is, how do we get home tonight?
Yes, I know. Isn't it wonderful?
The countdown must have started by now.
Drink up, then. Here's how.
22. 21.
To the luck of the human race.
The day the Earth caught fire fearlessly tackles a ferocious subject. It will seize your imagination, stretch your nerves with suspense more compelling than any you have known in a cinema before.
4. 3. 2. 1.
This was suggested to me by a very good friend, one of my best friends out in the UK, Tom Kirkham, and he was like, "Hey, have you seen this?" And I was like, "No." Turns out I did have it on Blu-ray on my shelf, so it was easy to get a hold of. This opened in the Odeon Marble Arch, London in 1961. It has a Rotten Tomato score of 85% critics. Audience comes in at also 85%. Shockingly matched. Budget of 190,000 British pounds, or someone else said 213,581 British pounds. It's hard to tell which one's true. It's a long time ago. It made a profit of, I could not find the actual number for box office, but it quote unquote made a profit of 22,500 pounds and was considered a moneymaker. Take with that what you will. It's directed by Val Guest, who has 79 writing credits, 56 directing credits. He was responsible for writing Casino Royale, Jigsaw, Hell is a City. He directed Godzilla, the 1977 version, Space 1999, When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth, The Abominable Snowman, and 2 Quatermass sequels, including Experiment and Quatermass 2. Co-written by both Val Guest and Wolf Mankiewicz, famous British writer of films, TV, and West End musicals. He wrote screenplays for his own novels, including Millionaires, Casino Royale, Black Beauty, and The Day the Earth Caught Fire, and the very hit stage show Espresso Bongo. I also really enjoyed his 2 works, It Should Happen to a Dog and A Kid for 2 Farthings, which I feel like, Kelly, you might enjoy at least the latter.
It's still too expensive.
Starring Janet Monroe. She has 29 credits, including Darby O'Gill and The Little People, Third Man on the Mountain, Swiss Family Robinson, and The Crawling Eye, which I was like, what is this? Literally a film about a giant crawling eye.
Yeah.
Looks pretty incredible. Co-starring Edward Judd, 113 credits, including Island of Terror. He was an extra in Maniacs on Wheels, which I think Eric has talked about.
No, Werewolves on Wheels was the one I talked about.
Oh, close. Concrete Jungle and Universal Soldier. Not that one. Leo McKern is also in this as sort of another newspaper guy / one of the best friends. He has 98 credits, including Blue Lagoon, Lady Hawk, Man for All Seasons, The Omen, and The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother.
I remember that with Gene Wilder.
I was like, what is this? So the story, we start off with a lone man walking down a deserted street in a ruined London. The film grain appears to be almost this orangey red color. The Thames has dried up. The streets are empty. Speakers are blaring a countdown to an explosion of some kind. And he goes to his workplace, which is completely empty and in ruins, a newspaper office. And he decides he's going to write an article. And he gets somebody on the phone because his typewriter has melted. So he gets somebody else on the phone and starts to dictate it to him. And the guy was like, really? And he's like, yes, now's the time. Then we go back a few months. Peter, the same man we saw, is a down-in-luck journalist whose life is in disarray after his wife left him and remarried. And he got massive writer's block. Now he only gets bad assignments to kind of keep him around the office, and is sort of a lackey for just going to the library and grabbing info. And he's kind of kept around with the idea that maybe he'll become that hit star writer that he was before. However, in the world, strange things are happening. There's flooding. They have an early solar eclipse by like a week. Then there's a huge heat wave that is just taking over pretty much all these countries in a specific line. It seems to be connected somehow to the Soviet Union and the US simultaneously detonating nuclear tests. So London, of course, Londoners carry on as they do with just being irritated about the weather and basically saying it's typical British summer. It's over before it starts. And, we got through this, we'll get through it again. When Peter tries to get a hold of a science official, at the very start because he wants a quote about the eclipse, he gets into a tiff with the telephone operator, Jeannie, who he later runs into with a, what's they call a meet cute? And they start a great little romance together. Throughout the film, the strange weather progresses, And it is discovered that due to the tests, the Earth has been rotated 11 degrees. It will slowly make its way into the sun in only a few weeks. Um, so, of course, the people of Earth decide they need to do another nuclear test on maybe the opposite side to kind of get it back into its place. And hence, we end at the countdown at the beginning.
Okay.
So, thoughts. This movie, it's like His Girl Friday meets Threads.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's like a million miles a minute. Super smart, super fun dialogue. Feels so much like His Girl Friday. Very much also like this is what it would really be like if this shit happened. And we're sort of following the day to day. It's told the story isn't the story is only told through the perspective of Peter and from the newsroom. It really focuses a lot more on his relationship with Jeannie and just living in London throughout this period. It's just, oh man, yeah. The relationships in this are very interesting. They spend a lot of time on that. There's a guy in the newsroom who kind of makes a lot of offhand comments about his wife, and you get the feeling that there's trouble in paradise. And he never really talks about exactly what's going on, but at one point they have a water shortage, and he says his wife took off with the water. It has really realistic set design. They do a good job of making everyone look extremely sweaty. Like you feel hot watching this film. They have the details of what might be going on during, the the Earth rotating in a new direction, including heat waves, heat mist, water rationing, public baths that everybody has to go to, water raiders, teenagers going insane, stealing water and just wasting it in a big drunken party. It's so interesting. Very Twilight Zone, also. A once great newspaper man has writer's block, and it takes the end of the world to get him to write an article again, of course. It's cool also how it uses sepia versus black and white film, the black and white being most of the film, but when it's the beginning and the end, it's sepia to kind of represent just how extremely hot it is. I really enjoyed seeing London in the 60s. It had some really fun on-site shots. This might be one of my new favorite films.
Wow, man,
Wow.
that's high praise.
It's so good. It's so freaking good. They have this thing I really appreciate at the end where, of course, it's a newspaper company. And so they have two versions of the paper for the next day. One says, world saved. The other says, world doomed. And they're just kind of hanging there. And the guys are waiting to find out which way it's going to go before they print it.
Is it a really, it's like you mentioned you had this on disc. Is it a really neat version, or is it
No, it's just something I
bare
got from
bones?
Amazon, but it was put out by BFI, so it's kind of a they
Right.
snagged it. I don't know how you say this.
Or they're remastering.
Yeah, they remastered it. It had some like voiceover, oh my God, commentary. It had two commentaries on it, but I didn't watch those. It didn't have anything else exciting. It was like some radio trailers and some actual trailers. Great. Love it. My favorite thing as extras. If somebody ever does put out a really cool edition of this, I will definitely pick it up. Little bit of trivia. Val Guest said there was a lack of enthusiasm to make this film, and he only managed to persuade British Lion to finance it by putting up the profits from Espresso Bongo as collateral. The film was partly made on location in London and Brighton and used matte paintings to create the cities and desolate landscapes. They did, however, use the actual Daily Express office and the paper's own headquarters, as well as featuring the editor, Arthur Christensen of the Daily Express, who had held that job before, so he was a really good actor for this particular piece. Towards the end, Peter is driving Jeannie's apartment when he stops to talk to a policeman who's played by Sir Michael Caine. But of course, a very young Sir Michael Caine.
Yeah.
In an early scene, Jeannie is struggling with a Roneo stencil duplicator, saying it is over-inking. The Roneo company threatened to sue the producers for potential damage to the reputation of their product. Just a few more very small things. This movie received an X certificate from the British Board of Film Censors upon release, barring anyone under 16 from seeing it. They both Val Guest and Wolf Mankiewicz received the 1962 BAFTA for Best Film Screenplay for this film.
Wow.
They were possibly going to make a remake in New York City, but it fell through.
I'm putting this on the list.
Hell
You
yeah, that
should-
Sounds great.
It's
amazing.
incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, it's 1960s, like, end of the world effects.
Right.
So, but
All right, Eric, I'm
All
putting
right.
10 minutes on the buzzer.
So when I originally considered this, there's a film that you mentioned that I've been sort of wanting to watch for years,
sure.
but don't know if I actually really want to watch, called Threads.
Uh-huh.
I said, nope, I'm not going to do this. There's enough crap going on. Let's watch something
It is
fun.
a bummer of a movie.
I feel like me and Kelly were a little Debbie Downer about it when you said you were going to do it. I think we were both like, oh, good
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah.
That's what everybody says about it.
Oh,
Maybe
man.
not this time. But I've got Severin put out a book. Well, they helped put out a book of end of the world kind of movies, that period after Mad Max and a bunch of other stuff. And this movie was on the cover.
Ooh.
1983's Endgame. This has no Rotten Tomato score, but a 67, which is generous, but that's okay, because if you like this kind of movie, you probably really might love this movie.
I thought it was okay, yeah.
Yeah. This is directed by Joe D'Amato, directing as Stephen Benson. You might know him from the great hits of 2020 Texas Gladiators, or Frankenstein 2000, where he directed as David Hills, or Absurd, where he directed as Peter Newton,
Oh, man.
or Paradise Blue, where he directed as Anna Bergman.
Oh, my God.
How about Blue Erotic Climax as Alexander Brodsky, or wait, God is My Colt 45, uncredited.
Oh, my God.
And he has even more names in his 199 directing credits.
Whoa.
With 176 DP credits. Man worked in film.
Jeez.
The writer, not too surprising, Joe D'Amato. Most of the movies listed above, he also wrote, including Trying to Kill, Heroes in Hell, and a bunch of the Emmanuel movies, which,
Oh, yeah.
have a certain shit going on right now because of Severin box set going out. They're going, you know what? That's a lot for a box set.
Jeez, they're not.
I haven't seen them. Aldo Florio as Alex Carver. So everybody's alternate names around here. He wrote 2020 Texas Gladiators, A Sold Life and Dead Men Ride. The movie stars Al Cliver, who you've probably seen, whether you know or not, but Fulci Zombies, he was in that one. 2020 Texas Gladiators. Demonia, The House of Clocks, not the new one, the original. Hearts and Armor, The Beyond, Black Emmanuel, and White Emmanuel.
All the Emmanuels under the sun.
Probably. Laura Gemsmer, who's in Metamorphosis, Caligula, The Untold Story, also by D'Amato. Vow of Chastity, best known for her Emmanuel movies.
Sure.
Then like at least 11, but that box set has 24 films, so I don't know what is going on with that. Like,
Spinoffs.
find somebody who ordered that because I just don't feel like dropping $250 $50 on
Please
that one.
don't. Please don't.
George Eastman, who's in Caligula, The Untold Story, Metamorphosis, 2020, Texas Gladiators, Warriors of the Wasteland, which is a truly fun piece of crap kind of movie like this, The Barbarians, Stage Fright, talked about here before, 1990, The Bronx Warriors, another great one, 4 of the Django movies, including where he looked like he was played Django in Django Kills Softly, but he's also credited as Bill, so I'm not entirely certain what was going on there. But you can picture him quite well. All of you that have seen Die Hard, picture the guy who is trying to broker the deal between the terrorists and Bruce Willis in the middle, the real swarmy salesman. He looks a lot like that guy. When I first saw the photo, I'm going, there's no way he's in this, because but it works. The movie breakdown. Well, let's see. The menu for the movie on the disc I had made me go, whoa, man, I've drawn very well, because this looks amazing. We'll see how it goes. Open up with a corpse being eaten by a bunch of rats, which is then stolen away by, I guess you'd call them mutant people, who then start to eat the corpse themselves. And of course, first up, we have Laura shows up from the Emmanuel movies, who has no scars or gross blackheads or pussy things on her, of course. Their movie has a group that shows up occasionally, a real Gestapo-style group with a very SS-looking symbol on their car and running around. Their whole purpose is to kill mutants.
Whoa.
They do a lot of that. Endgame is a game, much like, sort of like the Schwarzenegger film.
Running Man.
Yeah, Running Man. Apparently in this disaster world, which has very few seemingly full buildings, TV still works. So they set up the rules for the game fairly quickly. It really is unimpressive, but it does have a product to sell. The favorite food of endgame players, Life Plus, be a man among men. Buy Life Plus.
Oh my God.
They made a passing mention of the war, when wars settle differences, and now they do it by apparently this game, which is in no way indicated beyond a line or two and a weird star chamber kind of group that talks a couple times, but doesn't really seem to be indicating what they're really up to, other than we are controlling the world. It came out long before Running Man, but after Bachman's Running Man, so who knows? The government has a meeting during the games with ominous and vague warnings, like I was saying. So it's kind of like, I don't know if they want the veteran to win, or if he wins, everything goes bad. It's not the kind of movie that bears figuring that out by watching the scenes again. And let me remind you, this podcast is brought to you by Life Plus Vitamins. Don't delay. Buy today.
So good.
Oh my. The SS is back, killing people in the streets. The game's going on. There is not a single scene of a bunch of people in a house gathered around watching the games or anything like that. It's all these guys running through what's kind of supposed to look like, I think it's Italy, of course. And you see is the destitute people and stuff like that, but nobody seems to be paying any attention to the game. So I was like, well, why are these the world's most powerful game? Anyways, the fight scenes are fun, not great, but fun and kind of over the top. They're not, for a D'Amato film, they're kind of less violent than you might expect. They settle a little fast sometimes or go on a little long on other times. The main storyline is Laura is there to hire the super veteran of the Arnold Schwarzenegger of this. No, he's not the Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's the guy who's been there a bunch of times and wins every time. She wants to hire him to help her get a bunch of mutants out of the city safely. And so they start that. And I don't know what they're talking about with the city. It's like a small state or a country they're trying to get out, or county they're starting to get out of, because they drive a long time. And then they run into a bunch of, nothing really happens in the city. the chase to keep them from getting out. But they do run into a bunch of blind monks who, and there's lots of them. Like, there's like 4 guys protecting this, and there's probably 40 monks. Well, this will be interesting. But of course, the blind ones are being controlled by a mutant. And instead of rescuing the mutant, they chop his head in 2. Like, well, all right. Because he's obviously a prisoner. The guy's chained up in his walls. Like, my first thought, oh, they're going to guess they're not rescuing him. And then they run into another group, I think that's trying to, I don't know if they're trying to kill or capture the mutants. But again, just couple dozen guys on motorcycles and stuff, and people shooting machine guns, unable to hit anything. And, except, of course, the hero, every time he takes a shot, motorcycle guy drops. Everybody else on his team, not quite as good, but they come close. This movie drags extensively through large portions of it. It is in this genre of films, this post-apocalyptic, cheaply made after Mad Max ones. It's pretty fun because a lot of those are really, I don't think very many of them are what you'd call good. Entertaining, fun, sometimes good. This one is entertaining at times. One of the a fun thing with some of the mutants on the motorcycles, their makeup looks like they were just using leftover faceplates from Planet of the Apes.
Oh my god!
Like the chin and the nose and the bridge, it's like Buffy vampires, but the Planet of the Apes makeup. Not much again in trivia, and so I wrote a bunch of somewhat interesting stuff. So I'm okay that I'm out of time. I will go with the tagline. For an endgame champion in the year 2025, there's only one way to live. Dangerously.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And to nobody's surprise, if you look this up on Wikipedia or IMDb or any other of vague, maybe not good sources for information, Joe D'Amato calls this his favorite movie.
Oh, Jesus.
Sure he does. Maybe he does. I don't know, but I think he's done a lot better.
I remember kind of liking this movie. The idea that it's televised, I guess I kind of forgot that it was televised because I also didn't quite understand why there were rulers over the world, which seemed like it was a chaotic post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah,
like, what are you guys ruling?
That was the part that made no sense. They have like TV vans. And they do the room where with the multiple screens with the guy directing stuff, but I don't think they ever show anybody watching it.
I wonder if they just ran out of money and they had plans. We'll show some people watching this, and then they just never did.
Drinking the vitamin.
Right.
Oh, don't delay. Get your Life Plus vitamins today.
All right, I'm putting 10 minutes on the buzzer for myself. I chose Very Well, and
Nice.
Very interesting film. It is called 5.
It was all over. I was the only one alive. In all New York, the only one alive. Roseanne, what about us?
I'm not quite satisfied with this return to nature of yours. Not when the cities are open, waiting treasure chests. Everything in the world is there for us, everything for the taking.
I want to tell you something.
What
Why did you do it?
Why did I do what?
Get out. Get out now.
In my own time.
Couldn't we go back now?
You little fool. I got you away. You don't think I'm going to take you back.
I've not heard of this.
Yes, from 1951.
Oh,
Budget of $75,000. Box office not available. Rotten Tomatoes critics give it 73%, and the audience gives it 52%. Written and directed by Arch Obler, who has 11 credits, including Strange Holiday, The Twonky, but is best known as the director of Buona Devil, which is the first 3D movie shot in color. Starring William Phipps, who has 234 credits, tons of television. Also, The Snow Creature, Invaders from Mars, and War of the Worlds.
Shit.
Yeah. Also stars Susan Douglas Rubes, who has 41 credits. She was in Forbidden Journey, Booze Can, and Targets, which is that Boris Karloff movie I just talked about a while back that was really, really good. Also stars James Anderson, 151 credits, including Take the Money and Run, Little Big Man, and To Kill a Mockingbird.
Jeez.
And Charles Lampkin, who has 106 credits. He was in Hammer, The Black Godfather, S.O.B., and Cocoon. Very, very recognizable character actor.
Wow.
So, you guys have not seen this movie, but you're going to want to see this movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The opening shot is a very famous piece of footage of an atomic bomb blast, and then right over that, the title card 5 shows up, and a Bible verse.
Yeah.
Sure.
It is Psalm 103:16. The deadly wind passeth over it, and it is gone, and the place thereof shall know it no more.
Whoa. Prophetic.
So we meet our first survivor, who is Roseanne. And she is trudging from place to place through ghost towns full of skeletons hanging out of store windows and car doors and everything. And she passes by this headline on a newspaper. I love the old trope, but in 1951, I think it can be forgiven. It reports that detonating a new kind of bomb could result in the extinction of humanity. So she is screaming and wailing for anybody to hear her, and there's just nobody else around. She finally makes her way to this beautiful house that I guess used to belong to her aunt. And then she walks inside, and there's a fire burning, and she's kind of confused. She sits down, and a man enters, and she immediately faints. So I have to tell you, this house, you guys, is amazing. It is gorgeous. The architecture is really, really cool. And that is good because it is literally the only production value they have in this movie. When she wakes, the man introduces himself as Michael. And he's kind of a sensitive poet and philosopher kind of guy. But don't worry, after a few days, he forces himself on her. And
Excellent. Truly excellent.
And she tells him no, and she's holding out that her husband is still somehow alive. And we find out that she is pregnant.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
So Michael tells her she's crazy. They're the last 2 people alive on the planet. And just then they hear a car coming down the road. And she goes running out to see who it is. And he's like, all right. And it is an old man. His name is Mr. Barnstable. He is a banker, and he's got a black man with him, Charles, who was the guard at the bank. They were both in the bank vaults when everything went to shit, and that's how they survived. So then we kind of start getting a little story of what's going on. Turns out that Roseanne was at the hospital being having a checkup on her baby, and she was in the lead-lined X-ray room. That's how she survived. However, Michael was in like a elevator in the Empire State Building, and they list that as the reason he survived. And I'm like, well, shouldn't there be a bunch of people in every elevator in the Empire State Building then? But no, just him. But we start realizing that Barnstable is sick and also having a very difficult time kind of coming to terms with what has happened. In fact, he thinks he's on vacation, and he is going to need to get back to work. And they're kind of like, no, why don't you take it easy? Why don't you rest here at the house? And he's like, well, I just don't have time for that.
Oh my God.
Both me and Charles, they both need to get back to work. And Charles is kind of looking at everybody like, you know what's going on here. So they try to make him comfortable and all that stuff. He eventually wanders away from the house, and they're looking for him and everything. They find him down at the beach, and he has fallen into the water, and he dies peacefully on the beach there. But at the beach, they find another survivor who is washed up on the shore, Eric. Yes, who was stranded by a blizzard on Mount Everest when the atomic Armageddon occurred. You know, in Nepal, China, 7,463 miles away.
There are multiple questions.
Anyway, he is quite a guy. Immediately sowing discord among the group and coming right out and saying that Charles, the black man, should not be allowed to sleep in the house with the rest of them.
Oh, Jesus.
That sucks.
Yeah. So what they're doing here, you start realizing pretty quick, oh, okay, we're getting kind of the best and the worst of mankind are all kind of wandering up and living together or being forced to live together. And we're going to see all the old shit that has destroyed our planet come back.
Sure.
Mm.
In fact, the fight between Charles and Eric is interrupted when Roseanne starts clutching her belly. And we realize she's going into labor and she gives birth to her baby, which seems reasonably healthy, but none of them are doctors, so they don't know. Eric, however, though, he theorizes that they're all immune to radiation, and that's why they haven't gotten sick. And he wants to get into the city and explore. Michael explains that the cities are where the radiation is the worst and that they need to give up that idea. But Eric has gotten into Roseanne's head because she's still under the impression that her husband is somewhere out there alive. So they make a deal to sneak off to the city one night to look for her husband. And he insists that she tell no one. So it's just her baby and her and Eric's sneaking
I thought
away.
she left the baby, but okay.
No, she's not going to leave her baby. Charles, though, who has moved himself off into a little shed on the other side of the property, he confronts Eric while Roseanne is waiting in the car. So Eric stabs him and kills him. But Roseanne doesn't know this. She doesn't see this. And so they sneak off into the city. Once they get there, Eric immediately starts looting the jewelry stores.
Sure. Got to get the important stuff.
Yeah, shit like that. And we follow Roseanne on her journey to find her husband, which she does. Just like everyone else in the city, he has been turned into a skeleton, his flesh and muscle and organs completely disintegrated, even though his clothes are untouched.
Well, you wouldn't want a nude skeleton.
Well, remember, they did say this was the detonation of a new kind of bomb. So I'm guessing that's what this
bomb.
is going. Yeah.
Ugh.
So Eric turns out to be a bad guy, as you might expect, and tells Roseanne that she is with him now because she's like, I guess we should just go back to the house. And he's like, fuck the house. You're not going anywhere. I'm not going back there. Fuck those guys. So
quite the language for a 15-minute film.
All right, I might be, coloring it with my own poor language, but you get the idea. She struggles against Eric, and during that, she tears his shirt open, showing that he has very bad radiation sickness on his chest. And he then sees this and runs away, blubbering like a baby. It just runs off. So Roseanne makes the long trip back to the house on foot for some reason, even though the car that they came in was right there. And during the trip, her baby dies in a scene that I was not expecting.
Oh my God.
Because she's like trying to wash it off and she's freaking out. She's, what's wrong? Why are you,
Maybe you shouldn't have walked into the city, lady.
Mm-hmm. She makes it back to Michael and they bury the baby. And then they both get to work on cultivating the soil in front of the house, which I'm sure is not radiated at all. No. And it ends with another Bible verse. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and there shall be no more death, no more sorrow, no more tears. Behold, I make all things new. So the movie is a little silly and naive, but it's also really thought-provoking, I thought. I had a really good time with it. I got some taglines. 4 men and 1 woman are the last people on earth. This is their story.
Excellent.
Descriptive.
Trivia. According to Robert Osborne of Turner Classic Movies, the film is the first to depict the aftermath of an earthly atomic bomb catastrophe.
Oh.
The unusual house that is the setting for most of the film was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright and was the separate guest. It was the separate guest house of the ranch of producer, director, writer Arch Obler. The house burned to the ground with only the foundations remaining in the 2018 Woolsey fire, which swept through the area. Finally, the beach scene where Eric washes ashore was filmed at Westward Beach. This is the same beach where Charlton Heston falls to his knees and screams up at the Statue of Liberty at the end of Planet of the Apes. This movie is, I mean, silly, naive, and somehow wonderful. I was just entranced the entire time. It's just a bunch of really good actors acting really good.
Nice.
That's good to hear because your description kind of made it sound like you didn't like it.
No. I really loved it. I thought I was kind of drawn to it by it being the first one.
Yeah.
And the fact that I had never even heard of it. And then, a $75,000 budget, even in 1951, is a pretty low budget film. And then it's just 5 really great actors interacting with each other. And there's some hammy dialogue and stuff like that. But I just watched this movie, and at the end, I was like, that was really good. Really interesting that it opens and ends with Bible verses, but it's 1951 America.
Yeah.
Mine had Bible verses too. I just didn't mention them.
Mine did not.
So
Not even any Italian Bible?
No.
Huh. Is that the same as all the others?
Italian edition? I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
So where did you find this?
Let me think.
Was it YouTube?
You know what? I didn't write it down. It might be YouTube, but it might be Prime. It was available to stream. I didn't have to.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have to look far.
Oh,
That's cool.
awesome. That's great.
And I'll say this, once again, Vanessa, you picked something that I was like, okay. And I pulled something out because I'm so awesome.
Are you telling me all your enthusiasm at the end of the last show was faked?
So thank you, Kelly, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh my God. I feel so deceived right now. You seemed like you were so excited and it was all a lie. What is real?
No, it is kind of... It's why you play the game. It's why you play the Strange Eons game, right? Is that we pick something and we all are like, well, let's see how this is going to go. Sometimes it's not so good. Sometimes it's fantastic.
Well, that's part of the reason we record frequently and drop frequently, so we don't have time to go, you know what? I'm going to watch 5 nuke movies and pick the top one.
Right.
That's true.
Yes. Well, as you may expect by Chosen Survivors, the nuke part didn't actually happen. So I was like, shit.
Yeah. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh, so it was a lie. And they probably got tricked by the computer to go down there, huh?
Tricked by the government.
Even
of
worse.
course.
Even worse. Makes so much sense. I definitely have never seen that before.
All right. Next episode is not going to be anybody's choice because we're recording live at Crypticon Seattle. We are going to be talking Prince of Darkness.
Hey, there you go.
So
Keeping the
cool.
Carpenter roll alive with the Crypticons.
Yeah, I mean, pretty soon we'll be into... Actually, Jason Weiss, who listens to the show, he sent me my my panel list and said, really looking forward to you guys doing Memoirs of an Invisible Man this year.
Oh my God.
And I said, we're not doing that, but if we do this long enough, I guess we're going to have to do that eventually.
I mean, look, Bad Moon Rising. There will be some fun ones in there.
That's true. So if you're out at Crypticon, please come and listen to the show. We always post that show, so you'll hear yourself cheering and laughing at our
We're
wonder.
recording Saturday afternoon.
Right.
So
I'll only be a little
by.
shit-faced. You get Prime Kelly at this one.
Much more sober than the typical.
Right. So that's what I meant. This is also the time where we thank everybody for liking and sharing posts. We do like to thank people.
We like you too.
Yeah.
We like them.
For participating in the Value for Value model, for dropping us a line if you feel like it at the Strange Eons Radio hotline, which is 253-237-4266. Leave us a message. We'll play it on the air if it's okay with you. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, come out to Crypticon, have some fun. Crypticon Seattle.
Yeah, you've got a nice lineup of films this year.
Oh, jeez. Man, I tell you, the Northwest has some good stuff. The WTF block is not quite as, usually WTF block has those ones you're going, what the hell am I watching? It has some of those, but they're some really well executed stuff. Lots of shorts this year. Lots of shorts.
Oh, good. Well, I can't wait. I always love going there. I love hanging with you guys. I love doing our show.
Yep, it's fun.
It's gonna be fun. Get to see a lot of faces that we only get to see once a year at this particular convention.
That's right.
And we're all gonna be on a few different panels. So,
Yeah. And if you see us, come say hi to us.
please do.
So, all right, guys, we will be back then in one short week, and we'll be playing that Crypticon episode, Prince of Darkness. Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio, produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
Because when they do stupid shit, you're like, of course you do stupid shit.